Good day, everyone. This is your Sir Balo, and for this video, I'm going to help you understand the contents presented here. No? So this lesson is about arrays. No. Excuse me. Okay. Anyway, so according here, no. So far we are only able to store numbers in individual variables. So yes, no. So what if we need a collection of numbers? So have you ever asked yourself, no, that the, do you need a large number of variables? Let's say even according here 20 numbers. So what if you want to have variables like it will reach 100 or even 1000 variables, no? So depending you need to manually one by one going to declare and initialize your variables. So especially if they are the same yung data type niya, no? Let's say you want to have 20 variables na integer or perhaps 30 variables na character yung data type, no? So this is where array comes in, no? So, so later we'll as we navigate the contents of this LMS, no, in our code chum, you will soon realize the importance of arrays in programming, no. So depending sa programming languages, wala siyang array because it's very convenient, no, and it has a lot of purposes, especially for complicated na mga codes na. But anyway, as because we are in a gymnastic competition and there are 20 judges, so this is just an example on this was described here. The judges and the scores they give the gymnast have to be recorded. So are we to use 20 different variables? So if initially if you don't have an idea with arrays, so yes, you could create 20 different variables. But start thinking, no, what if we need the average? So syempre, let's say first, if you want to get the average, you need to compute first the sum, diba? So sum is adding all your variables. So if you have 20 scores, no, kaya ano siya, S1, S2, S3, these are variables that holds the each variable holds a score for one gymnast contestant. So you add all these 20 variables na puro scores of each gymnast in order to get the sum. Then that's the only time that we get the average is by dividing the sum by kung ilan yung variables natin dito. In this case, 20. No? So, yun. So, think of the burden, no? Palang, no? 20 variables. You're going to manually type all the variable names. You're going to call all 20 ano siya. So, very lengthy. No? Now, what if we need to drop the smallest score and the highest score? Are we to check each of the 20 variables? So, for sure we can again, but this will not be convenient, no? Diba kasi you're gonna have, if you're going to do this, no, you're going to check you're going out of the 20 variables, we need to find the smallest score and the highest score. So you're gonna need to have a lot of if-else na conditions. So in other words, if you have a lot of if-else conditions, so expected lolobo yung your code will be so long, no? So yeah, so this is where arrays comes in, no? So there's a construction in Java called arrays. Essentially, they are a collection of entities. So wait lang. Let me increase the size of this one so that you can see much better, no? So essentially, they are a collection of entities like an array of gold jewelry, an array of red roses, an array of chocolates. So in our case, an array of double values or the scores, no, of our contestants. Diba? So this primary array requires that the entities in the collection should be of the same type. So ang yung collection of entities mo, rather, they should have same type, no. That's for Java, no. Uh, each entity should have the same type. Kung puro sila, no, if you have a collection of numbers, scores, no, so integers, so dapat they should all have the same data type, just double or perhaps integer, no. Okay, so let's work with an array of integers first, no? So there are two things we need to remember when working with primitive arrays in Java. First, it has to have a size. So second, it is always dynamically allocated. So check the declaration below. Okay. So both so as you notice, no, if you're familiar with the C language, no, whenever we create an array, we just or if you're not familiar yet, no, I assume some of you are not familiar yet. In order for us to create an arrays, we need to put open close parenthesis, bracket daw, sorry, open close bracket sa katabi ng name ng variable, or the other way around, pwede rin sa after the data type, and then itabi mo yung open close brackets. So there are two ways of declaring an array, no? And ito, this int man yung data type natin dito, so this can be changed. Pwedeng char, pwedeng float, pwedeng double, all the primitive data types, no. So generally, this is how you're going to create an array or declare an array, no. Now both arrays in array 1 and array 2 are arrays of type int. So the square brackets are used to declare an array in Java. So as mentioned, no, either after the type or after the name. So yeah, the Java convention, no, conventions are just simply guidelines. So the Java convention is the declaration of array 2. So in other words, yung nakasanayan, no, na style, programming style or practice in Java is dito nilalagay yung brackets. Okay, that is for Java. Although these two are valid ways of declaring in Java, but ito yung, if you want to create an array in Java, so this is more preferred. Ito yung mas suitable, no, in Java. So recall that we mentioned that arrays have to have sizes. We do that when we initialize the array. So the samples above are not yet usable. So itong dalawa na to, hindi pa sila usable kasi hindi pa sila na-initialize, diba? So when we say initialize, wala pa to. We just declared, but wala pa siyang value, wala pa siyang allocation sa memory, no? Therefore, this is not usable pa. So we need to initialize our array. And how do we do that? So ito na yung how many elements can an array to contain? This is required before they are usable. So yeah, in order for our arrays na ginawa natin to be usable, we need to declare its size. Okay? Hindi pwedeng pag baka if you are confused, no, if pwede bang ganito, tapos lagyan mo ng value dito 5, 4, pwede ba yan? It's not, no? Hindi pwede na you put, dapat start with blank declaration, and then tsaka mo pala siya initialize. Or pwede rin, as we will see later, no, pwede rin itong i-combine, no, the declaration and the initialization. So this portion right here at the bottom, this is for the initialization of array or arrays. So when we say initialization, we are now specifying ilan ba talaga yung size or how much integer values can this variable array1 hold, no? So in this case 5 yung nilagay niya dito, new int. By the way, this is the format, no, in creating an array. Kailangan this cannot be removed nor be changed. The new, okay, and then followed by the data type natin, and then of course this one is the size, or how many values, or how many integers ang pwede niyang ma-store in this sa kanyang variable, sa array1 na variable natin. Okay, so in this case array2, we have a variable array2 that is an array. So which means this variable na array2 can hold or can contain 10 integer values. Okay? So ganun lang. So in that example, array1 can now contain up to maximum of 5 integers. Array2 on the other hand can contain up to maximum of 10 integers. Maximum because it's not required to fill them up to brim. And that is exactly the reason why you request the memory you exactly need. But more on this later. Okay. So we proceed with the next one. Garbage collection. Okay. So if you will notice that the use of the keyword new, as we encountered a while ago, new is an operator that requests dynamic memory. So dynamic memory is memory allocated to the program during runtime. So in other words, pag execute, pag takbo ng program natin, 'di ba? We click something in order for it to run, 'di ba? So that is yung ibig sabihin ng runtime. Pag takbo ng program natin, tsaka pa lang mag-allocate ng memory. We say allocate, dyan pa lang magpupundar, no, tawag ito. If memory is like a seat, no, many seats, allocation is parang you are reserving a slot, you're reserving seats. Kasi later on, some values or some people will sit on those chairs. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng memory allocation. Okay? So dynamic yung memory allocation in Java, no? Okay. So as opposed to compile time allocation and int and char. Okay, so essentially allocating memory without the use of the operator new. So which allocates memory when the source file is being compiled. Yeah. So bale, when the moment that you create single variables, hindi siya array, no? The moment na nag-declare ka na, no? Fixed na, meron na siyang allocation kaagad sa memory. Tsaka fixed na siya. Kahit hindi pa siya pinapatakbo yung program, kinompile pa lang siya. So meron na siyang these variables already have a reservation sa memory. Meron na silang na-allocate na yung space for them, para sa kanila, and that's reserved for each one of them. So if you feel there are actually some videos naman in the internet for you to understand what's the difference between compile time and runtime, so you can check na lang po. Okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with the malloc and calloc. So this is just the manual way of allocating memory, no? But yun yung kagandahan sa Java is you don't need to manually allocate memory, no? Kasi si Java na mismo yung bahala with the memory allocation, no? Kasi it has its own garbage collection scheme. So it is able to determine, no, kung whether yung dynamic memory in a certain program is still being used by it or not anymore. So when a Java program no longer uses the dynamic allocated memory, so the garbage collector of Java automatically deallocates them, sending them back to the free store. So yun yung nakagandahan sa Java, no. The moment na we're done using the array, no, automatic ano niya, yung space na kinain, yung memory na kinain ni array, automatic i-release na ng garbage collector ng Java so that other variables can use those memory allocations. And then accessing elements, again, this is what we have so far. So this is for initializing our arrays, no, na mga puro integer. So basically, we're specifying na create tayo ng array, tapos yung kayang value, the number of, or the capacity niya is 5, meaning it can hold 5 na integer values. Same also with this one, no. 10 integer values yung kaya niyang mahawakan, hold, no. So we have allocated memory to them, and we are not now ready to use them. We illustrate this by using array1. Since array1 has the capacity to hold maximum of 5 integers, these 5 integers must be stored in a systematic manner. The items stored in arrays are called elements. So pay attention, no, to the terms that na-encounter natin. So ito pala, an item that is that is currently stored in our array ay element. Element yung tawag din. So these elements are stored in sequential order, no? Naka-stored siya pagkasunod-sunod, no? Storage locations in arrays are identified and referred to via the indices or index, no? Maraming index. The indices of the arrays go from 0 to size 1. Size minus 1 pala, sorry. This is size minus 1. Ano ko lang to? Ayan. Size minus 1. Okay? In the case of array 1, here the indices go from 0 to 4. I don't know if there is a, let me check lang. Ay, kaya pala. Wala siyang pictures dito. So I guess I'll just on the internet in order for you to understand arrays. Okay, you just wait for a short while. Okay, so there are tons of examples in the internet, no. It's just a matter of researching. Makikita natin na arrays. Okay. Obviously, these are not, so hindi to yung array na hinahanap natin, okay? This is the general, I don't know. We have to be more specific, no, in our query at Google. Okay, so yan. This is the best example of an array, illustration of an array. Okay, so the best way to describe it is this. Yung array is like a box. Boxes na, although there are other variations of arrays, but the general itsura niya, no, is kind of like parang nga na. Okay? Wait lang. Sayang eh. Dapat ano to eh. I hope that this is clear. Let me just maximize them. Okay, so example of an array. So when I say array, it's a variable that can hold tons of values. Like for instance, itong array na to has an array length or size. No, another term for size is length. So please don't be confused. Array size yung ibig sabihin niya nito. So in other words, we can store 10 values on this variable na array natin. No? And each box, no? Think of this as boxes, no, sa array. This entire rectangle, this is an array, and each boxes will contain a single value. Depende na lang sa kung ano yung klaseng ano yung data type ng array na to. No? So we also have indexes. So think of indexes as the numbers of each box. Kasi we cannot access, di natin ito makatatawag, we cannot put values, nor we cannot get the values of each box if we don't know the index of that certain box dito, no? Or element, no? Element pala yung pag sinabing element, the value that's inside a certain box of an array, no? Element yung tawag dyan, no? And this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, these are indexes. So think of indexes are as numbers, no? Each array box is numbered accordingly, no? So this is the array index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, index 5, so on and so forth. Indexes. Okay, take note of this one. We will encounter this later, no? Basta this is for me the best example of illustration about array. Now going back. Okay. Okay. So the items stored in arrays are called elements, no? As mentioned, no? Kanina. Yung mga values or items na that are stored in the arrays, elements siya. And these elements are stored in sequential order. So kaya as mentioned, no? Na-mention siya, they are stored in sequential order kasi as you can see, this is the first storage, the second storage, third storage, fourth storage, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10th storage. So, ika-10. But, wait lang. Storage locations in arrays are identified and referred to via indexes. Indices, when you say indices, index yan, no? This is the plural form of if you're familiar with English. Indices or indices is the plural form of index. So meaning, pag sinabing index, maraming index to. Okay? I hope that this is clear. So the indices of the arrays go from 0. So as you have witnessed, no, in our example, yung index natin starts with 0 up to size minus 1. So bakit size minus 1? Kasi let's say our size or length is 10, di ba? For us to get the last index, the last index, now take note, so we just simply subtract the size, which is 10, no? Subtract 10 by 1, so 10 minus 1 is 9. So therefore, the index 9 is the index of our array. Okay? So yun yung ibig sabihin niya, no? In the case of arrays 1 here, the indexes go from 0 to 4. So which means our indexes start from 0 and then it ends at index 4. No? So this means that the first element is stored in index 0, the second element index 1, the third element in index 2, so on and so forth, and then finally the fifth element is in index 4. Okay, so take note, we start our array indexes start at 0, hindi 1. Hindi po 1. Okay. So to access the elements in a particular index, indexing is used. So this is through the use of square brackets and specifying a valid index as shown below. So take note, accessing the elements. So how once we have stored values in our array, so how do we get or access the elements so that para print natin siya? So ganito lang. No? So in this example, we are printing each value of our elements. Elements this one in particular is accessing the element in array index 0. Again, we're accessing the index, the elements, no? We're trying to get the elements that's residing in the index 0 of our array 1. So same also with here. No. So if we're going to, wait lang, sayang walang value. May mabubuti sana kung may value to. Anyway, basically if ang basic explanation nito is what the code snippet above does is it prints. Okay? It prints all the 5 elements of array 1. Okay. So assigning values to the elements of the array requires indexing as well. Okay, so when you say assigning values, now we are storing values na, no? Ito kanina, we're trying to access or get the values that are stored in an array. This time, this is the example on how do we assign values to each box, no? Let me just refer this sa array, individual cells niya, boxes, no? Assigning values to the elements of the array requires indexing as well, with the use of the assignment operator, of course. So, yun. Array, how do we read this one? Array 1 at storage at index 0, its new value that will store is 10. So, therefore, itong array 1 at array 0 to, this will be 10. Okay. I guess I should look wait lang. Wait lang. Just give me a moment lang muna. I think it's better kasi kasi wala kasing whiteboard in a laptop, but we can have itong tinatawag na paint, no? Wait lang, ha? Let me illustrate this one as fast as I could. Okay. So currently now, I'm trying to create an array. I'm trying to illustrate rather, no? How the array 1 actually, ano yung itsura niya ba? And what's going on right here. So, okay, so this, once again, this is array 1 with a size of size of 5, size or length. Wait lang. Okay. So let me just okay. So now we have an empty array. Okay, kasi na-initialize na siya kanina. Now we're assigning values to the elements of array 1. So in here, eto po, array 1, okay, the name of our array, and then index 0 is equals to 10. So which means the first line, we're simply putting a value of 10 in here at our at the array index 0. So, yeah, I forgot pala yung mga, yung mga indexes. Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, take note yung nasa taas. This is just to indicate ano yung index ng this certain box, no, sa array natin, no? So again, once again, the first line, array 1 index 0 is equals to 10. So which means nangyari is the first box natin, which is at array 0, so was assigned to a value of 10. So meron na tong 10 na element dito sa array na to, index 0. So at array 1, array 1 index 1, so is equals to 96. Okay, then we have array 1 index 2 is now negative 23. And then array 1 index 3 is sorry, this is 4. Ay 0 pala. So 0. So yeah, you can baka mali to. And then last, array 1 index 4. Oh yeah, ito, this is the trick. This is one is perhaps this will be confusing to you, but madali lang to. This is very easy lang. So this right here, index 4 of our array 1, no, na yung pangalan ng array natin, no, which is array 1. Yung index 4 dako, no, yung value niya will be whatever is the element in the index 1, tapos i-plus mo siya with the value or the element that's in the index 2. So as you can see, okay, let me just highlight what we're trying to okay, in the array index 4, no, this is array 1, eto, and then array 2. Okay, I'm just highlighting kung ano yung mga indexes, no, that we're trying to call, no, or refer to, no. So kung as you notice, no, ano ba yung value ng or the number at array index 1? 96, diba? So and sa number which is at 2 is 23. So therefore, array 4, array 1, wait lang, array 1 index 4, bakit ganito? Sadali lang, this is weird. Yan, is equals to 96 plus negative 23. So if you check your math or you just use a calculator, automatic with a positive and then negative, so mangyayari magiging minus to, and the answer of this one will be equal to 73. So therefore, array 1 at index 4, this value or the integer will be stored in here is 73. Okay, so I hope that this is already clear to you. Yeah. So of course, as you expected, the values can come from the terminal via some scanner. In other words, we're not only limited lang to assigning values explicitly, no. We can also assign values to our each of our array indexes, no, by whatever is kano yung input ng mga values ni user. So you're already familiar with this one, no? This is a scanner object. We're calling its next int na function or method so that we can get the two numbers na in-input ng user. Okay? So the first number, it is stored at array index 0. So at index 0. Then the second input na number is stored at index 1. So ganun, no? And now meron pa palang pahabol, no? So we have also a loop. Okay? So usually loops and arrays are combined, no? So that mapadali yung process ng what happens is this one right here, no? For int I is equals to 2, I is less than 5. So basically what is happening is syempre magfo-false man to yung I if I will become 5. So which means this loop will iterate, no? Yung I magiging 2 muna, 3, tsaka 4. Tapos once yung I magiging 5 na, stop na siya. So in other words, if you're going to try and put this in your code, no? Array, whatever is the current value of a loop, since syempre magsa-start mo siya ng 2. So array index 2 will be equal to the next input of the user. Then increment. Then magiging this 2 will now become 3. So array 1 index, wait lang, let me grab my notepad, no, first so that you can visualize, kasi mahirap yun. So I'll just explain things in air. Okay. So let me just copy this one, and also you can also try this on your own. You put this in the in your Java program. Okay, so let's say we have the following inputs. So let's say 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Or okay, let's say we have 5 inputs, and we have the following. Okay, and let's say this is array. This is our array 1. Array 1 natin, and size niya is let's assume na 5 yung size niya, so this is index 0, once again index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4. So what happens is at array 1 0, index 0 is equals to input next int. So eto automatic, whatever yung first input ni user, which is 12, no, it will be assigned at index 0. So therefore this will, our array now has stored 12 sa index 0. So this one, next line of code, input next int. So syempre the second input we will able to get it, no, from our user, and then we will store it at index 1. So once again index 1 is right here, so 13. Now there's a loop, no? So ito yung nakaganda, no, if we're going to combine loop and array. It's because mapapadali yung process mo. Let's say nag-start siya with 2, and then again yung I, it will end, mag-end yung loop if yung I magiging 5 na. Okay, so let's current value of I. Okay, it's 2. Okay, so ito hindi to, this is not a code ha, this is just ano to, for you to be able to catch up to whatever I'm saying. So anyway, I is 2. So this one, let's just replace this one from time to time para magets nyo, no? So of course, we'll start executing our loop, and then I, yung first value niya is 2, so this will be array1 index 2. And then therefore, we're already done with this, no? So currently, if we're going to call the next int function of our scanner object, so automatic ito yung kukunin niya, no? So therefore 14, this 14 will now be assigned at the index 2 of our array1. So therefore, since this is index 2, so 14 siya. And then we have I++, so 2 becomes 3 na. And then once again, we check I, which is equals to 3, is it less than 5? So true siya, no? This is still true. So now we proceed with executing the body of our loop. This one is already 3. Okay, now we're now currently here, no? So once we execute, once again, ito the next int function 15, this one makukuha natin to. And then since we have an assignment, no, equals, no, so therefore the 15 na value that we get from here is assigned at index 3. So 15 ayan. And then next I++, so this one becomes 4. Our I now, ang value niya is 4 na. 4 less than 5, is this true or false? So is 4 less than 5 is true. So therefore, we will run this statement right here. This one is already 4 na, no? So next input, next int, definitely ito yung value na makakuha natin, the number na we get, no, from our user. And this one is assigned at index 4. No, itong 16, no? So therefore 16 siya. And then this one, change this one after increment, no, after increment magiging 5 na siya. So if we check, no, the condition, if true pa ba siya, so this is already false. So and then we end our loop. So I hope that you were able to catch up with the illustration that I showed you. So yan. Okay, so you are now ready to do actual work on arrays, no? Recall the gymnastics competition where there are 20 judges and scores they give the gymnast have to be recorded. Ay, sorry, mali pala yung interpretation kanina. 20 judges pala, hindi pala 20 contestants. I'm sorry. Let's simulate the computation of the average. 20 judge pala yun, that each judge will give score. Yan pala, kala ko ano, nalakaw. Anyway, this is the program. And then these are the following scores for each judge. Yung score niya, judge 2, ito, judge 3, and so on and so forth. The last judge, judge 20, this is his score. Okay, so we have the following code. If we check in our program, once again, we created a scanner object. Yeah, this will not work unless meron tayong, unless we import, no. So we need to import our scanner object para magamit natin siya. Okay, then we declared an array. Okay, yung data type niya is double. Yung pangalan ng array is scores, and then we initialize natin siya. Now our array na scores is now usable, no? kasi we've allocated memory na in-indicate natin that our array has a size or length of 20. So therefore it can contain pwede siya mag-store ng 20 values in our array. Okay? And then we also have double sum, which is initialized to 0 and then at yung average. So yeah, okay. Now for the loop, no. Of course, we start. But this is a very common approach, no. Whenever we try to put values, or whenever we access, no. Let me just this one, no. This is a common practice